So friends, also, if you're new here, my name's Christy Rice. I'm obsessed with watercolor. And I really feel that I not only feel it, but I've lived the reality of the power that watercolor holds for us to chase down and capture joy when we need it, like kind of like joy on demand, right? And so I have made it my life's mission to help the watercolor curious of the world find their own joy and learn the habits of joy chasing and learn how to kind of knock out fear or at least tamp it down. And so that's why I'm on this earth. And I'm a goofball. I sometimes say inappropriate things. I am happy to be corrected. I am not a pigment nerd, although I am highly educated in all things paint and watercolor and all that kind of stuff, but I don't have it all figured out. And that's basically kind of the gist of this community here. So we have a good time, and I'm so glad you're here. So today is a celebration because we are celebrating the Amazon launch of my newest product, which is empty watercolor palettes. I have them right here behind me. So let's take a look. Let's dive in. Now, just know this, if you're watching on the replay, this isn't just going to be a talking head for the next hour or whatever. This is going to be a painting session. So we are going to be painting with a few fun things today. You're like, wait, with a fun few things. Okay, so first I pulled out my mixed media adventures book, which is kind of like the reverse coloring trend thing, but with my own spin on it. So we might get into that. I have also pulled out from the vault the Art for Joy's Sake journal. I say from the vault. She's only a couple years old, but she's my favorite book. And the silliest reason, because she's hardcover. Long story. If you've been around this channel for a while, you might have already heard that story. But I'm going to pull her out. I mean, I have pulled her out. She's got watercoloring pages. Now, I also have what I deem to be quite a large piece of watercolor paper. And I know some of y'all are laughing, saying, girl, that's not big, but it is for me. So this is 10 by 13. Actually, no. See, Academy paper has like different sizes. They're odd in regards to US sizing. This is 10 by 15. 10 by 15. Okay, so my goal is to fill that page today. So who knows how long we're going to actually be here. So let me show you the palettes. And I'm going to go ahead and do split screen, so you can see me and the palettes. This is the botanicals. Now, these are empty palettes, friends. They are designed to more beautifully house your current watercolor collection. Or maybe you have new tubes and you're like, I finally want to get my tubes. Or maybe you have old tubes and you've been just squeezing them out little bits at a time or curing them on a big palette that's not terribly travel friendly. That's what this is designed for. Because just as much as I believe, making beautiful art is a really good way of chasing joy, I also believe in the power of surrounding yourself with beautiful things. That doesn't mean you have to spend a ton of money to make the perfect studio that's super Instagram worthy. That just means you have to, I believe in creating a space. You don't have to, but I believe in creating a space, whether it just be the table that you paint at or it be a small room that you have occupied with your artness, making it inspiring to your eyes. What makes you feel comfortable? What makes you feel inspired? What gives you that fire in your belly when you think about a space? What gives you that excitement in your brain, that tingle in the back of your neck when you think about the materials that you paint with? So I just kind of felt like the black version of these is a little boring. And even some of the, we've seen some companies come, and this is no shade, and you might like those better. I've had people tell me they like those better. That's cool. But this is for those of us who think they're a little boring. Even the ones that come out with like the watercolor pattern. So this is my answer to that. This is not for everybody, but anywho, this is botanicals. She holds 48, and actually she holds more like 50. And if you're not familiar with this style of palette, these are half pans. These also fit full pans and quarter pans. And basically, friends, these snap out and they snap in by bending back these little tabs. All right. Now each of these palettes comes filled with half pans. You can take them out and put maybe you have a Sennelier palette that came in the black. Just push back those tabs and snap them into here. And now you've got a gorgeous Sennelier palette. And here's the thing that you can do with those black palettes left over. They make great little tins for storing small items, maybe in a cabinet where they're not in your face and uninspiring you, right? So they make a great storage for other things. You can take the tray out and store, your favorite whatever in there, just tiny items, of course. So that's how these palettes work. I didn't reinvent the wheel in terms of the format of the palette. I mean, this is a traditional watercolor tin, mobile friendly, travel friendly style palette. I did reinvent, like I innovated and created some fun little details like the rose gold tray. And of course the pattern, there she is. So let me just quickly show you the designs. If you're new here, I have been jabbering about these for a while. So I know many of you are like, girl, we've seen it. Can we paint, please? But so we have the strawberries, which says be watercolor curious. We have the botanicals, which says happy painting. And then we have hellebores, which says dive into your joy. All right, all right. And then we have the dahlias, which is forget rules, forget right, remember joy. And last but certainly not least, this was a late addition to this collection, is the anemones in the 12 pan style, Joy is Waiting. All right, so let me take a look at questions, see where you're at, see how you're feeling. All right, Jennifer's here. Sama's here. Sama, I got the name right. All right, friends, I need to get looking at these comments. Somebody said, Christy Rice has the friendliest followers. I do. Oh, hi, Virginia. Thank you, Michelle Anderson. Botanical. Yeah, let me know in comments, friends, which is your favorite. Is it the botanicals, the dahlias, the strawberries, the hellebore, or the anemones? Or, easier to remember, strawberries, green, blue, purple, pink. All right. All right. Just taking a look. Favorite is the strawberries. I see strawberries, botanicals. Virginia, not right now. The botanicals just comes in the 48. It was so tough to make these decisions, but my hope is eventually is that I can get all 5 patterns in all of the sizes. But because of how my manufacturer, like I have to they have minimums, and out of all my manufacturers, their minimums are the highest, but their quality, like I have gone through probably 10 manufacturers and quoted out things and asked about production quality and materials, and they're the same folks that make my paint palettes, the ones that actually come, the one that comes with the paint in it, and they're just the best. So I just have to take it slowly, because it's like when I have to order from them, it's an investment. Green botanicals is Jennifer's favorite. Pink, I see pink. I see purple. Hey, Laura. Strawberries for the win. Yes. Sama says botanicals, happy painting is the favorite. Purple is the second. Jennifer, you have strawberries and anemones. Oh my gosh. You just are lovely. You always support me so generously. Thank you. So these are not airtight. Janet, it's a great question. These are not airtight. However, you can certainly, depending on how you use gouache, here's the thing. I prefer to use gouache in a way where I'm squeezing it out from the tube and always using it soft. Some folks are happy and love to let it cure. And in that case, you could use these palettes, squeeze it into the half pans, tap them down, do the whole thing, do it in layers. so you don't have as many air bubbles or cracks or both. And then re-wet. But I find re-wet gouache functions very differently than gouache fresh from the tube. So just something to think about. All right. All right. So friends, just know today for our live viewers, we're going to be doing some giveaways. Yes. Um, and so just stick around because there's going to be a few and they're going to pop up kind of sporadically. So if you're, it's just a great opportunity. If you don't have in the budget, you haven't picked any up yet, you're not sure when you're going to be able to pick them up. I wanted to do a bunch of giveaways so that, we could just bring some joy, more joy into the live today. So stick around. Yes, fresh gouache is better. Is that like the general, because I've used it both ways. So, I'm not a gouache expert. If I did recently, last week, do a live on Thursday where I painted a whole thing in gouache. Actually, let me show you. If you weren't here, let me show you. It was a whole thing. So check it out. Once we get this edited, it'll be in the description. Is it upside down? It's upside down, for the love. There it is. I followed Ruth Wilshaw's tutorial and gave it my own situation. I realized like an hour after that I didn't put any tree like branches into these like faded ones in the background. But whatever. I know Ruth is, I find listening to her, sometimes I fall asleep listening to her YouTube tutorials because her voice is so incredibly calming. Josie, you do not have to choose. It is all good. Indeed. Yeah. Okay. The dinosaur next. That's so funny. Love it. Oh, you had to throw out your Hemi. Did you see my video I did last year where I reconstituted my Hemi? My Hemi gouache. It took like a month. It was a process. It was quite satisfying, but it was a process. And yeah. Oh, good. That was your Sunday painting. Awesome, Kathy. I'm so excited. All right, I'm going to pop these back in. So friends, here's the deal. If you want to pick up the palettes, I have a favor to ask. You're probably like, okay, girlfriend, where's the link? So during launch week, here's the thing. I'm a small Amazon seller. You might have noticed shopping on Amazon, you see that little small business icon. That is hard earned, okay? I'm a small business on Amazon. Actually, 50% of those who have products on Amazon are also small businesses. Kind of cool. A lot of people don't know that, like me, that go out and independently get things manufactured. So here's the thing. It's really hard to get seen on Amazon because you have a lot of the big guys that have really big advertising budgets that can just pay to be seen when someone like you is searching a particular keyword. I don't have that kind of budget. Mm-mm. So this is what I have to do. I have to ask my community to do me a favor. And here's the favor. If you're interested in purchasing, there's a particular keyword. If you could actually search it in the Amazon app, find my product, and then pick it up that way instead of just me giving you a link. That would help me out so much. The phrase is watercolor palette. Watercolor palette. As of right now, at the time of recording this live, for all 5 of these options, we are like the 150 something product. So you're talking, depending if you're on mobile or on PC, desktop. I have PC. Yeah, I know it's shocking. No Apple here, no Mac. Depending on mobile or desktop, we're the 150th product down on the page, so to speak, right now. So you're talking 3 to 5 pages, 3 to 6 pages in to the search to find us right now. So it takes like an extra minute. So if you're curious I know my actual watercolor paint palette is also under that phrase and it comes up even sooner. which is cool and is basically evidence of, you know, us doing a good job over the last year and a half, getting seen. So that's awesome. And that is because of you. So better than me, Christy Rice. Slap my hand over my mouth. That's so funny. I sorry, I haven't been paying attention to comments here. So friends, search watercolor palette on Amazon and you're gonna see really pretty pictures of these with like daisies and a white background. You're gonna, in the picture is gonna be the palette, the box that it comes in, and then an open palette like this. That's what you're gonna see. So that would be so awesome. I didn't discuss it, but I did want to announce we soft launched these palettes, and I'm getting to painting soon. If you're here on replay, just stay with me because the painting is coming so soon. But bottom line is, this is a celebration. This is a party. This is a palette party. All right. So if you purchased in November our soft launch on ChristyRice.com, I'm not in the UK yet. So it's coming up in some markets. So do the search. But yeah, you may be better served in the UK searching Christy Rice watercolor palette. It'll come up quicker for you and easier for whatever reason. But I know some are able to get it in UK and some in Canada. It just depends. It's really weird. And I don't profess to know exactly how it works. I've been trying to get into both markets for like over a year now. It's really hard. So anyway, if you've already purchased, get your boxes back out. We told you to keep your boxes. But I know there's a lot going on. And scan that QR code. I announced a little fun Easter egg type surprise. So for anyone that purchased before, and for about the first 600 purchases, you are going to get access to all 5 videos. All 5. Because each palette has a distinct video, a distinct how-to section where you're learning to paint a version of the artwork featured on the palette. And we had a little mix up, a little boo-boo, but it's just a woohoo for you. Our boo-boo is your woohoo, okay? Because the first like 600 plus all the people that purchased in November of last year are going to have access to all 5 tutorials. So another benefit of grabbing your palettes soon, now, whatever you want to call it, because you're going to have access to, like, instead of like 45 minutes of tutorial, you're going to have access to like 45 minutes times 5 of tutorials, which is cool. Let me take a look at comments, see where we're at, and then we're going to paint and do a giveaway. Pink, always pink. Yay. Love, love, love. I'm Martin. You finally caught a live? Yes, you did. Just bought botanicals. Thank you, Ordinary Knitter. No such thing, but fun screen name caught my attention. Sloan, I'm assuming you're asking about like with paint in the palettes. I'm getting asked about it so much, and I gotta be honest, like I'm so nervous about it. I have ideas, but oh gosh, I feel like my my Art for Joystick palette has been so controversial, but maybe it's just me worrying too much. Hello, purple and blue is your favorite, Donna. Thank you. Do you have to choose, Josie? No, no, you don't. No, you can do all 5. Kidding. Christy, Shari, are you in the UK? You search Christy Rice watercolor palette and it came up. I would prefer if you could search watercolor palette. That specific phrase is going to help me out the most right now. Honestly, that phrase is going to help me out the most no matter when. That's the ideal phrase. These are empty. These are empty. These are designed to spruce up your existing collection, or when you're bringing in new tube paints, they're a great way to house tube paints. The tutorial that comes with each of these teaches you step by step how to make pans from tubes. No, Nicole, we're not going to sell out today. I don't think it's even possible. No, thank you, W.A. Castle. I do. I'm pretty partial to the strawberries too. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. You have 2 of each. Goodness gracious. No in the U. Oh, okay. And yeah, you're gonna find it under that phrase, but watercolor palette alone is the best. Um, if I'm being selfish. It's gonna get me the most, traction. Jennifer. Jennifer says, I gotta put this up. I gotta put this up. I want full set syndrome satisfaction. That's so funny. That's so funny. Oh, I didn't review. So the anemone holds 12. And then strawberries, dahlias, and hellebore hold 24. I've heard of people squeezing in 2 extra into these. I that actually worked in here. I actually was able to squeeze in 4 extra. So I think I've got 52 hands in the happy painting, I think. So anywho, so this technically holds 48. And again, you're going to get all those empty half pans. They come as they're part of the whole set. The botanicals is 26. Folks are really excited about these prices. I think people thought these were going to be a lot more expensive. So 26 for the big boy. The 24 size are 21, and your 12 pan half pan size is 16. And there you go. So where I'm going to warm up. I think I was going to say, where do I start? But I think I know actually, which is shocking because usually I don't know what I want to paint. But I think I'm going to warm up in the Art for Joy's Sake journal. And let's just see how that goes. I don't know what in the journal I'm going to paint yet, but let's get into it. How cute are these? These are my little Feltrite tiles that I have on the back of my wall here in the studio. So flipping cute. And I have the Gray Muse stuff kind of punched into it. And I'm just like, I think it's just gonna be a really fun way to style my painting area. Isn't that cute? I just came up with that. I'm very, very excited about myself. All right. So if you're not familiar with the Art for Joy's Sake journal, it's just this fun book, watercolor friendly paper in here, where you have painting pages that I show you like how I did it, and then you can do it yourself. Double-sided. Unless you use alcohol markers, if it's water-based, it's not going to go through. And then we've got like inspiration and little painting tips and the story behind the artwork, which kind of ties into like the joy chasing philosophy. I've got some recipes in here. You need to make this banana bread. It's the best ever. Like, it's delightful. If you're going to have a painting party with some friends over, and then there's exercises in here. All right. So this one is fill the page with as many different types of brush strokes as you can. Strive for 100 strokes. Think about the angle you hold your brush at, the pressure you apply. So like whatever, let's do that one because it's a great warm up. Spray down the palette, spray her down. I get the thing all the time where folks are like, I am afraid, or not even afraid. People are just like, I don't want to ruin my book. Okay. The cover's strong. These books were made to be painted in. Please paint in these books if you have them. Can we do that, please? I would be so excited to know that this thing is not sitting on your shelf collecting dust. That would be really great for me. So let's get to it. I'm just doing some really relaxing press, drag, and lifts. And remember, really slow down on that drag or else you're going to get kind of a blunt end, right? So you want to slow down on that drag and as really a gradual lift, all right? So I say watercolor friendly because this paper is not traditional watercolor paper. It's not 100% cotton because, budget and stuff. It's a thing that I have struggled with my publisher. Paper has been, we actually had an amazing paper that we hoped to use, and then it like stopped being produced. It was really annoying. Going a little dry brush here, but just get that painting mojo going, loosen up, reshape these leaves until they feel good in your heart and soul. But the point is to get them down. And I'm just playing around here with lifting and swiping sooner and quicker and all the things. I'm double dipping, double loading, whatever you want to call it. I am working with the tip of my brush and a lighter pressure. I'm twisting the brush between my fingers. All sorts of fun stuff. All sorts of fun stuff. All right. Slow down. Yes, slow down. I get the question so much, like, why am I not getting that leaf shape that you get, Christy? And I've discovered it's just going way too fast. So really slow down. All right. Huge help. I think that's going to help. It, in my experience with folks that have reached out with that question and that frustration, this has helped. This has been the culprit 99.98% of the time. And the next culprit is usually water control. Some, too much water, not enough water. Usually it's not enough water. Yeah. So, I'm still in my muted color phase. I have a video coming out this week, like a regular video, and it's all about my newfound love affair with paint mixing with my palette, the Art for Joy's Sake palette, and um how my eyes have been opened to like why I was not a big fan of color mixing. And my palette happened to be the one that I was painting with most while I discovered this, but you could discover this joy with any smaller palette. But I'm going to be dropping some truth bombs and some secret discoveries in that video. So keep an eye out for it. Not sure which day it's coming out yet. We've had a lot going on in terms of lives and finishing things up for this launch. So a little behind on the YouTube schedule. Now notice, friends, like how I'm just putting down strokes. I'm not worrying about like the realisticness of this and like, oh, is this looking like a fern? No, because what did I even intend to create a fern? No, I'm filling this page. I'm getting strokes down, and you can see you're going to get a little rippling, but it's not coming through. Isn't that cool? Not coming through. Hi. So use this book, beat this book up. If you're curious about this book or any of my books, just look in the description below. You're going to see all the information about where to, how, and when with all of my stuff. All right, just going to take a look at comments here and see how everybody's doing. I like to make banana bread. I just made banana bread. I adore banana bread. And the secret to this banana bread is sour cream. And I actually have switched it out now for just plain Greek yogurt to get some more protein into my belly. And it's just as good. Like, it's not like one of those, oh, it's just as good, like, diet culture. No, it's just as good and more nourishing because of the protein. Yes. Anywho, make the banana bread. The other recipe that I have in here is another favorite of mine, and it is a feta bruschetta. Oh, it's so good. Okay. You had me at sour cream. Yeah. My mom at Christmas time makes anise cookies, and most people are like, oh, anise, you either love it or hate it. But her anise cookies are so subtle with the anise flavor, but she also uses sour cream in the recipe, and it's divine. Yep. I don't use a lot of sugar. My banana bread, it's now the recipe in the book here has more sugar than I use now. I only use to make like a whole pan, like a big pan. I only use um like a third cup of sugar. And I just use extra bananas and a lot of vanilla and a ton of raisins. And that's why I don't use a ton of sugar because the raisins are so sweet and it's lovely, lovely. But you have to love raisins. I adore raisins. Oh no, you're allergic to bananas. I don't know what I do. All right. Okay, so I feel, decently warmed up. So I'm going to go put this book over here. But you know what? I want to find that page because let me tell you about the feta bruschetta. Even if you don't like feta, it might be worth a try because, and I know this is not a cooking channel. I don't know what's happening, but it's like you whip feta with cream cheese, or you could use Laughing Cow, like light Laughing Cow, which I really like. And like olive oil, and then you make like bruschetta tomatoes, like red onion, tomatoes, whatever spices you like, and a really good balsamic. I don't know where it is. And then you just put it on. I mean, you can just like put that into the belly of a half of um, a red pepper, or you could eat it with, of course, like toasted bread. It's so good, so satisfying. Anyway, I can't find it, but it's in this book. Isn't she pretty? I sometimes forget. What a journey. What a journey it has been. And what fun I continue to have. Okay. Let's do another warm up. Warm ups, I just feel like warm ups are so important. I don't know. I've been eating a lot of like salty food, a lot of pickles. And I woke up this morning like just so my hands hurt, right? So don't go into like a painting session feeling like you have to be in pain or be shaky. Like do a warm up. Do a warm up. It's so good. It's so good. Or if you start painting and you feel shaky and you feel like tentative, go back and do a warm up. You know what I mean? Okay, so this is my mixed media adventures. So how funny is this? When I was writing this book, I was developing the Art for Joy's Sake palette, right? This bad boy. And at that time, I was still deciding. This has a G on it because I use this one with gouache. So this palette's contaminated with gouache as well. So anyway, look at making art for Joy's Sake. This is another prototype that I had. Isn't this fun? It's like another little Easter egg. Like this one, I only have one of these and I used it to shoot this page. How cute. So fun. Anyway, so this book is full of kind of, done for you beginnings, double-sided, because if you know, you know. And it's just watercolor beginnings. So it was my twist on the reverse coloring trend, but I put it on watercolor friendly paper so that you could really hit it with different mediums. So like here I have gouache, watercolor, and acrylic, and of course pen, shimmery stuff on this one, right? So you can, I mean, this one is like full of acrylic, and look at like still stays flat. Anywho, so great warm up book, but also a great finished product book too. All right. Oh, which one? I want to do this one. I want to make these into top down roses. Go figure. I want to make roses. I don't know what's happening. I'm just using a flare pen here. I don't know. I need something thicker. No, I don't want a flare pen. I want something thicker. Yeah, here we go. And just use your hands. Get your hands flowing, right? And warm the body up, because why not? You'll feel better as you continue painting for the day, for the afternoon, whatever it is. Done for you beginnings. I wish I would have used that in the title of the book. I really like how that sounds. I really wish I would have. I've been having the itch to illustrate lately, just like pen and ink, which I think that itch is going to be scratched when I head to Europe, because I do a lot of travel painting. When I'm there, like architecture and that kind of illustrative stuff. Anywho, I'm getting loose. I'm getting limber. Limber. Is that a word? Is that the right word? Limber or nimble? Maybe I'm trying to say nimble. I do that all the time. I mess up words. It was so funny. Did you guys see the thing that I posted on Instagram? I've just been posting the funny slash rude comments that I receive and trying to just make light of them and laugh at them. And I've received one the other day. It's not conversating, FYI, it's conversing. And I'm like, oh, you're new here. Because I use words funnily. They're gonna like that one. I use words funnily, oddly, yeah, subversively. I do love a good conversating moment. Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was funny. It reminded me. I have how I like I've taken my deficit, if you will, my I struggle with pronunciations, and I'm trying I've turned it into something lighter as I've grown up, if you will. And it's funny how many people are so willing without really thinking of calling people out for their errors, not thinking that like somebody might actually have a true disability. Um, I I don't know if I would, whatever. I think it is for me. It is a disability. It's a deficit that I have. Like I've learned. Um, used to just think I wasn't smart. Like I'm a child of the 80s. I feel like that's kind of how you were categorized. You were either the smart kid or not. And I was just like always like I'm just not the smart kid. I was like, no, I just struggle with certain things and need to, I need different ways of thinking about things and processing things. So anywho, this is fun. Let me I feel like I would just want to paint over some of this. But I'm gonna need, ugh, I don't want to get acrylic out. I really don't feel like messing up my paint water. So I'm gonna grab some white gouache and then brush it on. I love this technique. Now this is gonna bleed a little, the black. It just is. I need more water on my brush though. I need to look at comments, but I'm in the zone here, so I will soon. If you do have a question for me, would you go ahead and put a double question mark in front of that question so I can see it easier? It doesn't guarantee that I will see it because the comments and questions fly by pretty quickly in these parts. So I'm just stroking on, kind of dry brushing on some white gouache. It's Holbein gouache, and then adding a little more water as I go. And then now I'm going to just grab a green from my palette on the tip of this brush, my 3/4 dagger, and just brush it on very kind of loosely and painterly like, and let it blend with the white. And that pops a little easier on the page and I can build. It's kind of like doing an opaque wet on wet, which is fun. If you haven't tried an opaque wet on wet, please do, because it's ridiculously fun. Look at that. I'm just covering it right up. This is fun. This is lovely. I'm just going to do veins here. If you haven't, just use the tip of your 3/4 inch dagger for linear details, please do. She's a powerhouse. She can do all the things. All right. And then, oh, you know what? Oh, I have these new pens. I need to try them. But first, let me take a peeky poo at comments. Jas is painting along this time. Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you, Janet. Oh, yeah, Virginia. Virginia reminds us, don't forget to boop. If you're new here, a boop is a like. A like really helps channels like mine get found. So if you could go ahead and give this channel a boop, that's a thumbs up, a like, whatever you want to call it, that would be most lovely. So I got these pens. They are the Pentel Matte Hop. They're some kind of hybrid between gel and something else. I can't read that. It's okay. So they're like supposed to be really richly pigmented. The packaging is so cute. I'm gonna try to add this to my Amazon product page. There is like an ivory here. Oh my gosh, look at that coral. Stop. I don't know. These came across my, they're stickers. They're stickers. They're stickers. That's adorable. So cute. Okay, so let's play. And okay, yeah, don't forget to boop. We all struggle with certain things. You could say that again. So Real Kitchen Diva asks for an absolute newbie. Never painted, just sketched. Oh, okay. Which of your books should I do first? Okay, I need to. Okay, if you are looking for a little bit more of like a, oh my gosh, these are so pigmented. What in my life? Wow. So imagine like a gel pen, paint pen hybrid. What? Anyway, okay, back to the question. If you're looking like for a more intense how-to, I would go with the Making Art for Joy's Sake Free Spirited Watercolor, because that's going to give you a really good foundation with the basics. And then it's also going to give you a bunch of projects with increasing detail, requiring an increasing amount of skill that you can kind of work through. Now, I'm not going to lie, that book is going to, that book could take some people like 2 years to get through if you worked through it consistently. If that sounds too intense, which I understand, no judgment, I would probably go to the Art for Joy's Sake journal, because there are um done for you line art pages in that one, which are not in the previously mentioned book. And but in addition, there are journaling prompt pages, but there is not as much beginner watercolor. So if the first book sounds too intense, go for the Art for Joy's Sake journal and watch. If somebody could put in the comments the link to my video, it's like my mastermind. It's got like 500 and some thousand views on it. You know which one I'm talking about, where I have you make the watercolor charts and teach you the basics. If someone could pop that in the comments section, that would be great. That's a great combo. Watch that video, get the Art for Joy's Sake journal, and you will be good to go. Hopefully that wasn't too complicated of an answer. If it was, ask another question. Sorry. Yay! Just switched over to YouTube Live. Hello, Serendipity Soul-Filled Fluid Art with Jan. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Yes. Mel, let's normalize having struggles. Eyeglasses are adaptive equipment that rich men normalize. Just saying. Yes. Yes. Can we normalize adapting, adaptive learning? Right? Like, just wild to me. I would never think to comment on someone's um channel and like point out an error. No, these pens are awesome. They're very creamy, but smooth. Like they glide. They glide like a gel pen, but like so much better, to be honest. Now this ivory color, I don't get it. I don't, what's happening? Maybe just on dark. So apparently these also show up on dark paper, I think. Well, or is that, I'm mixing up two things. I'm thinking about something else I saw. Of course, these show up on dark paper. They're gel pen. I'm thinking about something else. There was some kind of thing I was watching the other day, and it was like, oh gosh, I can't remember, but it was like the one of the benefits was being able to show up on, of course, white paper, but also black paper. It was popping against, and I can't remember what the product was. It really, really caught my attention. Yellow's not as exciting, but I'll tell you what, that coral was just really exciting. Yeah, the yellow's not as exciting. Anyhow, thank you, Cheryl. Do you know of a temporary spray adhesive for stencils that would not damage a watercolor painting background? Friends, I do not have an answer for this question. I am not a fan of spray adhesive. Mostly because I don't need it. I haven't found a reason to use it. So like, that's the only reason I'm not a fan. So I shouldn't even say I'm not a fan. I just don't use it enough. So if anybody has an answer to this question, that would be awesome sauce. And I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I feel sufficiently warmed up. Serendipity, I'm so glad you're painting along in your journal. So glad. I just want to show you the brand again because these are cool. If you like mixed media, if you like gel pens, you might really, really enjoy those. Sorry, just catching up with comments. I am going to put them in my Amazon shop. I am. Yep. Mel says Pixie Spray Adhesive. There you go. That's a good conversation. That's okay, Art and Diamonds. I'm just glad you're here. All right, all right, all right. Oh, Tawanya, and I hope I pronounced that right. I'm so glad you're enjoying the book, and I'm glad you're still working through it. That's fun. Someone else says Plaid Patricia. Oh, you're responding. Clear acrylic sealer and Mod Podge. Oh, here we go. See, I knew I was not the person to answer this question. Oh no, the painting lasts. It may not let you. Oh, that's interesting. It may not be letting you post the link. All right, friends, I'm going to go ahead and post the link because why not? All right. And actually, while I do it, I'm going to share my screen. All right. So this is my channel. All right. Actually, here, Watercolor for Joy Masterclass. This is the one I would say.
No living being
It's going to
should
play.
ever eat.
Yeah, we don't need to watch that. Anyway, this is the one. This is the one. I'm gonna try to share this link and see what it does. This is the one. Where's my keyboard? So if you haven't watched this video or you haven't watched it in a while, go get it. Go get it because it's good. Let's see if it deletes me posting the link. Ah, hopefully not. How's everybody feeling? How are we feeling? It's noisy in my house again. That's okay. Close up the gouache. So we're going to get to painting. I am using Academy watercolor paper. Shocking. And so far, I'm using the Art for Joy's Sake palette. And the point is to just celebrate watercolor, celebrate the joy of this beautiful, beautiful medium by filling up a page. We're celebrating my palette launch today. And speaking of the palette launch celebration, let's go ahead and do us a giveaway, right? Because why not? Because we need to, because it's fun. So let me know. Oh, I got to think of a question. Okay. You ready for it? Here's the question. And I'm going to send you the palette of your choice, the empty palette of your choice. Okay. So I had a prototype made of my Art for Joy's Sake palette, the one with the paint in it. And the tin was not this one. Which pattern was it? That's the question. Give me the answer and you will win your empty palette of choice. And we're just going to start filling this page. I'm going to start by spraying my palette again. And I want to clean out. Well, I'm just going to paint with it. If I'm going to clean out the colors, I'm just going to paint with them. Actually, I'm not. I have another idea. So I'm going to just put as much of the paint on the palette as I can. Oh my gosh, there's so much noise today, friends. Okay, the first answer was strawberry. Nope. Peonies. Nope. Botanical. Nope. Judith. Oh, good heavens. This is definitely going to need to be deleted out. But Judith, you got it right. Judith McGilvey said the pink one. And you are exactly correct. The original prototype was the Dahlia artwork, which is the pink one. This one. Yeah. Originally, I was thinking of releasing a 24 color paint color palette. And that was the design of the palette I was originally considering. Yeah. All right. So fill the page. And I know it can be scary. I know it can be frightening to fill a page, but you're just going to organically build. You're going to just build. You're going to start off center. Big tip. Start off center. and just build. I don't even know what I'm painting. Maybe I'll do something like the dahlias, press, drag, and lift. This is going to be the center of my flower. Load up with a little more pink. There's a double load here. I'll show you what I'm going to do with it to make it a little more interesting as I go. And then another press, drag, and lift. I'm going to go over here and swipe up some of this color, just a little, and use it. Press, drag, and lift. A little more over here with not as much press. A little more over here with a little red on my brush. Tip of the brush, press, wiggle a little, lift. Look at that gorgeous like undulation of color. I'm going to load up again a little pink and a little red. And I'm loading the pink and the red on different areas of my brush so I can do lovely little crazy, delightful things like that. And then I'm going on the end of that and giving that petal a little turn, right? Now I'm going to rinse a little because I want to widen this. So just going right next to the original stroke and widening it by just blending it out with some water. And I need a smaller brush because I want to lift a little of this color before it stains really intensely. And I'm going to add some water and then blot my brush and lift back. All right, there we go. So you can really see the turn of that petal. While I've got the filbert, I'm just going to continue extending this. I might need a little bit of paint here. And I just want to make this a little fat and bumpy and yeah, there we go. Better, 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 better. Okay, going back to the 3/4 inch dagger, I'm going to load the back of the brush. So right here, I'm going to just dip it into the palette. And then I'm going to load the front with a little pink. And then I'm going to just dab into the red. And let's see what happens. I'm starting on the outer edge of the petal. Press, and then I'm dragging up and upstroke. And then I'm going to go right next door and widen it. All right, we've got 3, 4, 5. I want to put a 6th one in, but I don't know. So because I don't know, I'm just letting you into my brain. This is kind of how my brain thinks through stuff as I'm painting. Like I'm constantly reminding myself of when I think I need to like play it safe for the moment, like stop or not make a decision yet, kind of playing it safe. Okay, so I put in the center. That was my way of like pausing by working on the center. And I do think I need a 6th petal, which kind of goes against my asymmetry tendencies. But I think in this case, it needed to happen. And I'm pretty confident that I was right. Now looking at that, I'm going to go extend this just a skosh and let it bump, you know, in a watery way, let it bump up to the next petal. All right. So these dark leaves, I'm going to do some big dahlia leaves and I'm going to go strong. So very little water, lots of paint, blue, brown, emeraldy green. And we are going to just get into it. So, Judith, please make sure to email hello@christyrice.com. Attention in the subject line, attention Kristen. So we're going to press, really press, drag. Don't panic if the color's starting to run out and go dry brush. That's what you want. And we're going to do this again. Attention Kristen. And let her know that you won a Dahlia palette during the live. We're just going to repeat this here. And she'll get that out to you and give us your address. And leave a little margin in between. Twist that brush. Twist that brush in between your fingers. See what I'm doing here? To get into the little tight spaces, right? You can always edit, change your angle, and just really edit one little area. Can always do that. That is always there for you. Look at that. Wispy swipe. Wispy swipe. That one got a little long. If your swipe that was meant to be a stem gets out of control, just turn it into part of the leaf. Right? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Remember, double question mark in front of your questions, friends. That's what we need. We need a double question mark in front of your questions so I can see them better. All right, and we're just gonna go out here and do a skinny mini and connect it back. Just the tip of our brush and a really light swipe. You're barely touching the paper. I always say I would rather my stem, I want to be touching the paper so lightly that I would rather my stem be not continuous, that I was so tentative with that touch that my stem, that I have to kind of go back in and kind of make it connect with everything else, because I would rather that than it be thicker in its look than I intended. Does that make sense? I hope it does. All right, I'm going to do a little tricky trick here. I'm going to add some water. I want to show you the magic of going dark and then kind of bringing it back. I'm going to rinse my brush off camera, blot it lightly, and swipe or lift. Blot it on paper towel again, swipe and lift. And look at the beautiful interestingness that it's revealing. This is a magical part of watercolor, and I'm doing the same thing. Water, lift, kind of bully the paint, and then blot on the paper towel, and then lift, bully the paint. Okay, and do you see it's revealing? It's revealing almost a little bit of granulation. It's revealing things to you. And then you can take that opportunity to grab, I'm doing a peach here, and pop it in. Pop the peach in, rinse your brush again, clean water, dab on top of the peach, and then let it dance. Let it mingle, let it do its thing. Another thing I do is pink into my green leaves. I do it all the time. I love it so much. Look at that. Look at that. You gotta see this close up. You see that coolness that's happening? It's subtle, but it adds just a little ba 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 boom into your green that you would not expect. Does it take away from its realisticness a little bit? A little bit, but it still feels like a really enchanting leaf that, yeah, right? So fun. All right, I'm gonna go to questions. So this leaf is now damp. You can play. You can play. Like, friends, this would be a great exercise. Just fill a page with leaves, big leaves that give you the opportunity to play around with this goofy technique of mine. All right. I don't like the bluntness of the end of that leaf, so I'm going to give it a little point. And I also don't like the way the white line kind of ended. Actually, I'm not loving the white line at all. So I'm going to just scratchily fill it in a little more. That's better. I like that. I want to go right in with the color that's on my brush. I'm going to add a little more and just do some simple press and just sweep out at like a downward angle. So that press is giving you a thicker mark towards the center of the vein, right? Thicker mark. Yes. Press and sweep. And it's like a sweeping lift. All right. Let's do a little something here. See what's on my brush. This is another thing I love doing. Like, I don't know really what's on my brush when I did that, but I wanted to find out. And look at the happy surprise it gave me, right? Double dip, don't rinse. This is where not rinsing your brush is such a good thing in watercolor, because you get crazy, lovely surprises like this. All right. Okay. Let's take a look at comments, questions. All right, I'm trying to get back to where I left off. Hey, Judith. All right. They have names. You can just, they do have names, but I have also referred to these palettes as pink, green, purple, that kind of thing. So yeah. Um, the lifting gets you every time. Yeah, me too. I love the lifting. Yeah. I actually call this type of lifting positive lifting. I explained that in the follow-up to my watercolor mastermind video, like where you're an ex beginner, right? And we can actually, I'll get that linked in the description below. If you're watching this on replay, it should be down there. It's watercolor for the ex beginner. So it's like the next step. And I talk about positive lifting because typically we are taught that lifting in watercolor is a way to correct a myriad of sins, right? But what I discovered about lifting is that positive lifting, I wanted to put a spin on it. That positive lifting actually can reveal a myriad of joys in watercolor, because when you lift, you're kind of revealing what the paper chose to soak up, like what the paper was most impacted by when it comes to the paint you had just applied to it. That's what a lift is going to reveal. So when you're lifting, not to correct a mistake, but instead to reveal the cool positive things that happened in your previous brushstrokes, it opens so many doors to you creatively. So, get at that positive lifting because it is a good thing. It's a good thing. Christy, can we get individual pan refills for the Art for Joy's Sake palette? You're on your second set and your red and yellow go faster. Yeah, the yellow goes fastest for most. So yes. So what you can do is just email us. We're talking about this palette. Email us hello@christyrice.com and attention Kristen and just say need refills and she'll send you the link to go ahead and pick out what you need. Jennifer says, have you ever seen a brush that is called a D brush? It's like a half stipple. No. Jennifer, put it up in Discord so I can see a photo. Maybe it's just a snapshot. Kristen is so sweet, Art and Diamond. She's the best. Friends, if you're wondering what I mean by Discord, one of the benefits of being a member at any tier in my Patreon is access to our Discord channel, server, whatever you're supposed to call this thing. I'm just mixing the green that's already on my palette here with the ivory in my Art for Joy's Sake palette, this one right here, and getting like a creamy loveliness. And then once I scoop up the color, I'm adding water. All right, back to what I was saying. So you can join at any tier, and our tiers start at $1.50, and then you can become part of this Discord, which is like just a more in-depth community. And we just share all the things. There's all different channels in there, art supply discussions. We share discounts. We share, we tried this new supply. We love it. We hate it. All the things. We just have general conversations. You can share your work, get critiques. It's awesome. If you're wanting to learn more about my Patreon, the link is down in the description. It's one of the first links you're going to see in the description. So I just created another version of this dahlia flower. And I wanted it to be kind of muted, a little more stylized, a little dingy, if you will, right? And then I'm going to mess around. I just took the pinky red tones. So essentially, the peach, the pink, the red, maybe a little brown. See what you get. Add some water to it because I want it to be pretty sheer. And I'm going to start, I am just messing. I am using my 3/4 inch dagger and I'm just going to dab and stroke up and dab and stroke up and repeat that and just descending length. So almost getting like a fern type feel, right? Little tropical vibe. And I'm going to do it here. Obviously I'm doing a different kind of angle here. All right. How am I feeling about that? It's definitely going tropical, but oh, I have paint all over my hands. See what I did? I cannot not do it. I cannot not get paint everywhere, but it's okay. It's who I am. It's who I am. All right. I'm rinsing in clean water. I'm going to grab more of this, and this is still damp here. I'm going to dab in 3 spots and just let it go. I'm just going to let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Because I want to see what is going to happen. All right. Now I'm going to try this with the 000, but I think it's going to be rough. Brown, blue mixed into this creamy mixture that I started earlier. And then this is going to be rough. And I'm gonna try to, all right, it's not as bad as I thought. I'm doing a purposely non-continuous line right through the middle there. And then I'm gonna bump and swipe up into that pinky corally color a little bit from the center. Now, I try not to connect the two sides. Like I won't start here. I'll start here and I'll start here. You see what I'm doing? I'm kind of like going off center from the line I created over here. I think it gives it a more organic kind of feel. And then I'm searching for a way to organically connect these two. It's going to be tough. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I've got just a little bit of an organic connection. And then we're going to go and do the same thing down here. Non-continuous line, a little scratchy in areas, meaning like two lines next to each other. And then bump and swipe, and just stagger those connections, right? I just don't want them to meet in the middle. I don't want to go here and then go here. I'm going to do it just to show you what I'm trying not to do. And this is just a fun twist on like filler, right? Really fun twist on filler. And then I want to connect this back. That's the thing with these all over the page, fill the page type of situations. Like you're looking for ways to maintain your focal point and you're looking for ways to connect things while maintaining your focal point. Can we just stop for a moment, pay tribute to the magical loveliness that is happening in these leaves? Positive lifting, highly recommend. I mean, look at that. Oh. And just a moment, a realistic interlude. That is not bragging, friends. That is being kind to yourself. Finding the moments in your painting that are just delightful to your eye and proclaiming them to yourself, to whoever wants to listen, proclaiming them. Also, actually, see what can happen when you let watercolor be the boss. I just went dab, dab, dab into the damp, ivory, greenish, murky color. And I decided I'm going to let it go. Now I'm getting cauliflowering, but I knew that was going to happen. Because remember, cauliflowering happens, this stuff happens when one water level of an area meets another. And they clash and they break each other. There's the break. But I sometimes like the break, right? Okay. Let me look at questions. Remember those double question marks or a bunch? That's great. Stephanie says, what pen did you use for that outline of the flower, the tan and black one? Great question. It's a Kuretake. These are like designed to mimic bamboo brushes. You can see it has like all the way down to the like little loop on the end. There is a set of them in my Amazon favorite store. You can find that link below. So go to the link below, my Amazon favorites, and then you want to go in. There is a list for pens. I don't know whether I called it sketching pens, my favorite pens, but it's in there. And the set comes with like the brush pen, there's a felt tip pen, there's a fine liner. It's like a set with all the different types. Really nice. The one that I used is the brush pen and it's very soft. So it really feels like you're drawing with a brush. And I love that. How do you prevent cauliflowering when the paint is drying? Number one, it's a matter of water control, like I mentioned. So keep an eye on it. You may not be able to prevent it at all times, but keep an eye on it. So I'll just show you. We can actually correct the cauliflowering here. I'm going to correct it. I really like it here, so I don't want to mess with it there. But add some clean water at that break where that line happened. All right. Let it sit, dry your brush out, and then blend it back. Now, this correction can be easier depending on like the paint you used, is it super staining? If it is, you may not be able to get rid of that line as easily. right? But the reality is you want the amount of water over the whole surface. The surface that you're trying to get a nice even blend, that surface should have an even amount of water on it for it to dry without cauliflowering. So you're constantly trying to make sure that you're evening out the water. That's what I'm doing here. So adding it, dabbing it away, blotting it away on a paper towel. I just did that. Evening out that water. And then now let that go. Watch it again. There's still a little something here that is just to my eye is like, that's not even. That's not a nice soft gradient still. It's not perfect yet, but you can zhuzh. You can zhuzh. And my brush is dry, almost dry right now, slightly damp. But you can see how I kind of started to turn around that cauliflowering. So the best advice I can offer you is to make sure that the water on the whole surface of the area that you're trying to get that nice smooth effect on is the same amount of water across the whole area. And then watch it as it dries and use that technique I showed you to kind of clean it up, soften it up, smooth it up. Hopefully that helps. And just remember, when your watercolor dries, the first dry, it's going to, depending on the climate, your stuff is going to dry. Like this leaf is pretty dry. What's it been? 10 minutes, right? You know, your watercolor is still not dry. You can still zhuzh, you can lift, you can still move the color around on the page. Even when it's been dry for a week, you can still do that. It won't be as easy a week later, but yeah. Oh, Margot did a cauliflower video. How perfect. Go check it out. Jennifer said Margot Halleck did a great video on cauliflowering this week. Check her out. She's fantastic. Fellow stationery designer, incredible artist. I'm trying to get her to come on the channel, but girlfriend's busy. Girlfriend is busy. But love the double load, says Virginia, and the addition of burgundy to that deep green in the leaves. Isn't that funny that it looks burgundy and it's purple and pink? Isn't that crazy? I just crazy. Mm-hmm. Two things, friends. Do the double loads and let your brush, actually three things. Do the double loads, number one. Number two, let your brush run out of color and keep painting with it because magic happens. Number three, don't rinse your brush as much. Sama says, double dip, don't rinse should be a new Christyism. I need to do something with these Christyisms. I was thinking of making pins, honestly. I reached out to the Gray Muse to actually collaborate and do like a limited edition release, like a collaboration, and she's so busy. So I'm thinking of actually like doing my own collection of pins that don't step on her toes in any way, which I'm trying to be super mindful about, but maybe just doing like my Christyisms into pins and stickers. I think that would be fun. But it's really important for me to not step on her toes. Fresh ideas for leaf shapes. That's tough. I mean, that's tough. Okay. But let me give it a swing. I mean, because are there really any fresh ideas? So I have been sent a video. I cannot remember the original creator, but this creator, and this is even more reason I need my flipping liner brush, my dear friends. Where has she gone? Oh, where is my liner brush gone? Oh, where? I am so annoying. Okay. I'm going to use, because, hi. I'm going to use the prototype for my travel liner brush with a caveat. It's a prototype. It doesn't have the crimp on this, so it comes out easily. And it got pinched. And so, but I'm going to use it anyway because this creator was doing some of the wildest moves with a liner looking like brush. And I want to do it. So where do I want to do it? It was like she was dancing her brush, like constant wiggles like this. Okay. And like bringing it back and reloading and re-wiggling and changing colors and changing the amount of water on her brush and just letting that brush kind of rebound and go where it wants to go. And it looked like it was actually really hard on her brush. So I really thought this was interesting. Um, so this could be a really interesting filler idea. That was my dog. I actually think it's early in the painting to add something this feathery light, but I did want to show you because that's what came to my mind when you said like new like new leaf shapes. So again, lots of water on that liner and you're going to feel like you're beating her up. But look at that. Like when you press down and like maybe you have a special liner for this that you feel like okay about beating up and it was like wiggles and just letting it be wild. And then I feel like you could go in and bulk up some of the wispiness, right? Like that. You know what I mean? I feel like it could be really interesting juxtaposition. Yeah. So, anywho, something fun to try. I'm gonna after this live, I will go on to Instagram and share the video so we all can give honor to this creator and, you know, tell her she's inspired us and mess around with the technique. But look at that. It just is creating some really interesting moments in between more of the structure of the leaves, right? And I don't have a composition here yet, friends. So just, you know, it's okay. And I'm just pointing that out because like who cares? But I am going to go in. I'm feeling the need to bring in some like kumquat-ish, like my old stomping grounds, the kumquat. I've got a little bit of that apricot color that I just mixed on my brush, and I'm going to rough in some kumquats here to start connecting these situations. All right. Now I'm going to go over here to the farmost one and dab in some of that apricot. Letter B. I'm going to go over to this one and dab in some of that apricot. Letter B. See what happens. All right. See what happens. Now I'm going to go down here because the eye is kind of doing this cool, like my eye is not actually going here first. My eye's going up here first. And it's kind of going, and I want to push that. So I'm going to go do more kumquats as if they were kind of behind here, right? And some of them look bigger and some of them will be smaller. And I want to kind of get the eye to start circling itself. If you're having a good time, there's something, what is that? Like a seed. What in the world? All right, if you're having a good time, go ahead and give this video a boop, friends. That's a like. Helps out my channel. And yeah, and then we're going to go dab some of that full saturated apricot into some of these. I'm dabbing carefully and I'm not dabbing it into all of them because then they would just run into each other and be a dabbled mess. Dabbled. I'm going to get corrected for that one. All right. I am still definitely deep in my muted phase. All right. Look at what's happening. I dabbed here and I dabbed here, and then I just let it slowly creep into the middle one. Oof. All right. It's starting to get connected. Starting to get connected. And then I don't know what I splashed on here, but I'm going to leave it because I think it's going to make a mess if I try to correct it. And I'll just do some stuff later to, yeah, to bring it all together. Jared says, have you ever used or thoughts on glitter, holographic, and or color shifting handmade watercolor paint as a paint maker? I'm so curious. I have really not gotten into the holographic and or like the duochrome, or I think the duochromes are the color shifting, right? Same thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't really gotten to those. I do shimmers, but here's the thing, like I struggle with scanning artwork that's created with those, but I really feel like I need to step out. I definitely have used more gold and shimmery stuff as of late, meaning like the last like year perhaps, but I really feel like I need to step out. I have a few makers sending me some stuff, and I am planning I've been thinking about a video where I try to get out of my like anti-shimmer watercolor funk. That's the way to compose, right? In a Z or an S to travel with your eyes. So yes, you can do kind of a serpentine, think about that. Like you want to give your eyes a path. So think about where does your eye go first? And that may not necessarily be your focal point. Where do you want your eye to kind of land? So that serpentine or Z-like thing could help your eye land, right? Right now, my eye goes here-ish, like right here-ish, but then it's starting to come down and around. So you think about it that way. And where do you want your eye to go next? Thinking again about where you want it to land. I do think this is my focal point. So that's what I'm starting to kind of configure in my head. Okay, this is where I want it to end up. I just want it to cycle, right? How is it going to cycle? How is it going to cycle, right? Have you ever put insects in with your foliage? I haven't. Well, I have a few patterns that have like insects, butterflies, different things. But I feel like that would be super fun and I need to think about doing. Jared says, so do I. So this is back to the shimmer holographic. He says, but I find scanning them is the same surprise as painting the watercolor and letting them do its own thing. So that's interesting. See, this is this needs to be in my video, that the scans you're saying would reveal some magic, unexpected magic. Mm, I like that. Ooh, I like that a lot. Yes. Here's another one. What do you think of metallic watercolors? Yeah. So I think I need to give them another look. That's what I think. Oh, okay. So Jared says underpaint with traditional watercolors and then go over them with the metallic glitter or modern color shifting. Love it. You're giving me ideas. You're giving me the ideas. Okay. So I'm going to take this ivory from my palette. I'm just mixing it up here with a little bit of like the grayish green that was on there already. And I'm going to do some filler. I'm going to put some more water on my brush because I want it to be light. And I'm just scrubbing around an invisible center. And I'm going to repeat. Scrubbing around an invisible center. Go off the page. 3 of those. And then I'm going to dab in the middle. I'm going to dab a green that was already in my palette. Just a little dab, not too hard of a press because I don't want it to blend too much because it's already, you can see how much it's blending. And then I'm going to rinse and repeat over here. Scrub around an invisible center with the tip of that. This is my number 12 round. Scrub. Oh, that's a cat hair. Ew, what's happening? Well, I have cats, so that's what's happening. This one got wonky because I had to swipe it because of the cat situation. So I'm going to make it larger. And there we have it. Rinse. I really don't need to rinse them. I don't know why I rinse, but you don't really need to rinse. And just, oh, wow. Okay. But I'm going to let that lie. I want to bump this dot a little bit more. Okay. All right. Fun. Let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. Actually, I can already tell it's just a little too dark, even though I like the effect. So I'm going to lift and blot on a paper towel. Lift and blot. It was just a little too much. Gonna let it rest. Okay, so boom, boom, boom. I'm going to put some down here. It's time to cover the spots. So no longer am I going around an invisible center. I'm going around the center that I booped my paper with on accident. And then I'm going to do a really big one. Look, I'm just scrubbing with the tip. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do another one out here. Give it some breadth in between these because I might connect them with stems. This would be a great follow along. You can build some muscle memory for composition by following along someone else's composition. So you can learn a lot by following along someone else's composition, but maybe change the colors as you follow, right? Maybe change the style of leaf shape as you go, but follow along for composition can really build that muscle. All right. Really build it. Okay, another way to use value, texture, line quality, shape, kind of contrast, all those elements of composition. Another way to use it is value. So, got, really intense, strong values here, a variety of values throughout this area here. So, another way to keep the eye staying here, landing here, is to calm down the values, bring out more water mixes with the colors on my brush in other areas. So that's something we're going to start to think about right now. I'm going to grab It's Just Paper, the 3/4, and I'm going to go over here to where I just have some lingering greens and add water to them. There's also a really cute little peachy moment here. Let's add some water to that. So I might pick up some of it. And then I'm just going to swipe. I'm not going to mix, just swipe. And then start to think about some really soft, kind of dancey strokes that I can add. Very watery. I'm still, thinking about stems and still thinking about big sizes, but really soft, water-filled strokes. All right. Little swipe there, but then a little dancey. And dancey, by dancey, I mean keeping that brush moving instead of those like press, drag, and lift strokes. I'm kind of keeping my brush moving. And it's providing a lovely contrast to the more structured shapes over here. And you might be thinking, well, Christy, isn't that too much of a contrast? And at first it might be, absolutely. And you can kind of marry the two where they meet with kind of an in-between stroke that is more structured than these, less than these. Isn't that fun? Love it. All right, connect, connect, and connect. Love that. Let me look at questions. Nicole says, I like my metallics, but I usually add them at the end of my paintings, or just do warm-up strokes with them, or abstracts. Absolutely. Ooh, Shari says, I've been making my own metallic and shimmer watercolors from mica powders and gum arabic plus a little bit of glycerin. Perfect combo. I use them in waterfalls, lakes, oceans, sparkles. Love it. I need to give them a second look. I do. Friends, remember your questions. Start them out with a couple of question marks so I can see them easier. Nicole says, what about doing an abstract-ish light background, letting dry, and then going back with gouache and doing a floral composition? Have you done something like that? Indeed. Actually, wait, I did kind of the opposite, I think. Let me think. Have I done something like that in a video I could share? I don't know if I have. In a video. I know you didn't ask me for a video, but I kind of feel like, oh, I want to share a video. But I'm going to put some purple in this. But that would be lovely. I think that would be so refreshing. All right, so I put some purple in that green mix. So if you want to know how I mix that, like if I were to do it from scratch, just like a little bit of green, a lot of the ivory. If you don't have the ivory like that, a little bit of white, a little bit of brown, watercolor, and then a smidgy do of purple. And you're going to get, and don't mix it all the way. Remember, friends, this ain't bacon. We're not baking a cake here. You don't have to mix your ingredients thoroughly. All right. You really don't. I promise you. I promise you. You can mix them very sloppily, very imperfectly, and it's going to serve you well. Look, this is how well it's going to serve you. It's almost like you're forcing granulation by not mixing your colors thoroughly. It's almost like forcing granulation. I'm not loving these, but they're weird. I don't know. We're going to see what I can do. I'm going to mix, so brown, a little bit of the red, and a little bit of this pink up here. Oh, what did I do to myself? Okay. Sometimes you got to just try stuff and know that it might not be the most lovely decision you've ever made in your life, but it might also get you out of a really tricky situation in your life, you know, because painting is so tricky. I'm making it sound like this, it's this emotionally like troublesome thing. So I'm adding some mildly similarly shaped leaves into other areas of the painting. And immediately I am more okay with what I did here by adding, I did a little something, something here, same color, similar shaped leaves. I did a little something, something here, and I added a variation in terms of shape to these existing sprays. And you wouldn't have thought that if, okay, Christy, if you don't like these, then why would you draw more attention to them? But I actually didn't. They were more attention grabbing because of the lack of variation in the petal size and brushstroke type, in my opinion. Yeah, I do. I really feel they were. And my mind is saying, Christy, actually, like, really ride that idea. So I'm going to mix up that color again. A little brown it was, yeah, right? But I'm going to water it down. I'm going to actually even add some of the ivory here to make it a really creamy, lightened version, and then water it down. And I'm going to go over here and do some of those, more of those dancey leaves. Not quite as dancey as here, right? Look at that. Okay, look at that. Here we go. Now, just because you fill up a page, I know we talked, the title of this was like fill a page. Just because you fill the page does not mean it's done, does not mean, right? But it is such an accomplishment. This was still damp here, so I'm taking that opportunity. You know what I say? What do I always say? What do I always say about the wet page? What do I say? Somebody tell me in comments, and whoever says it first is gonna win an empty palette. And this is only for the live viewers, friends. If you're watching this on replay, I'm sorry. What do I always say about the wet page? What is the wet page to us painters? Whoever says it first is gonna win their choice of the new empty palettes. Oh, Nicole, it's an opportunity. The wet page is an opportunity. Nicole wins. Nicole, go ahead and send an email to hello@christyrice.com. Attention, Kristen, I won a palette. Let her know what your mailing address is and your choice of pattern. Awesome. That was a quick one. I didn't even announce that one. I'm bad. I'm bad. Let me see. Does anyone use, what is this? Marvy markers. I have some. I've never heard of Marvy markers. I would love to know more about them. So, folks, if we could help Gina out, because she's needing to figure out what to do with these Marvy markers. Oh, Natalie, your paints and brushes came yesterday. Okay, so Natalie, tell me why you haven't used them yet. I hope it's just like a good reason, like I had to go to work. Because if it's fear or anything else, let me help you out. Let's talk through it. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for your response. I want to hear from you because I want to make sure you use these soon. All right, so I took that mix that I was just using here and I added a little bit of the fluorescent yellow because we've been sleeping on the fluorescent in this painting sesh so far. And I feel like I want to, again, mirror some of what's going on here, but in a more muted way. And also recognize the fact that I haven't used any yellow other than in the centers of those two flowers yet. Now, I'm going to try something here. Why is that green? What did I do? What is on the tip of my brush? That is so weird. I mean, I'm all for happy accidents, but that startled me. That was weird. I'm going to blot it. Okay. Let's try this again. Yellow, scrub, scrub, scrub. Okay. I'm not mad at that. All right. It's subtle. I'm going to do a little up here. The green spread more up here. So just a little. All right. All right. And then I'm going to do some filler. So press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. And then the same thing on the other side. I'm changing the angle of my brush as I press and lift just to get some interesting scrubby, like wheat-like texture. And then fan it out. Fan it out. We didn't really need that there. I'm just going to do that. You see these crazy things I do with my paint. Like I literally just swiped that area out and smudged it out, and I actually am okay with it. Be fearless. Be reckless. Watercolor really begs us sometimes to be a little reckless. I personally feel like we are not reckless enough. We need to be more reckless with our watercolor. We just do. All right. So we're going to do some weedy stuff. I've got two different styles here. This one's more like it's being blown off the page, and this one's more static, like there's no wind here. So we need to get both of those going in other areas. So I'm going to do the non-blown more down there. I want to actually fill this whole area here. See how that feels. I want to do a little more, but add a little red to it under here. These dancing moves are so powerful in our paintings. I'm going to do more here. I like actually this filling rather than having distinct shapes, filling in areas with some of this kind of stuff. And I'm going to, instead of it, I'm going to kind of make it a little more distinct on the outer edge here. Look at that. Isn't that great? That's fun. I mean, I'm not like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. I'm not like exclaiming that, but I'm okay with it. That's the thing. As you're traveling through a painting like this, you need to get really okay with just being okay as you traverse this painting, because at times that's all you're going to get. It's just going to be okay because you're in the ugly phase. It's just going to be okay because you haven't made enough decisions yet. It's just going to feel okay because you're still working out your composition. You need to get really okay with your painting just being okay at different stages. Okay, Natalie says mostly work reasons. Good. Sorry to put morality on the reasons you might not paint, but I just want to encourage you. Yeah, and I don't like painting at night either. I don't. It's dark also here at 5 p.m. I'm with you. Okay, you scheduled some time to plan Friday. Beautiful, beautiful. But yeah, if you feel like inspired to do something while it's dark, you know, some swatching where, yeah, I get it. My eyesight's just not as good. I'm 46, man, and my eyes are 46 in. Yeah, so I need that daylight. I feel you. But number one, great habit. You set aside some time, you've scheduled some time. You've scheduled your joy. Brava. Okay. Number two, you're pushing yourself to paint in a way that's a little more uncomfortable for you. All right, friends, I've got to go find my liner brush. I got to find another one. So just hang tight. I'll be right back. I don't know what state she's in, but I've got me a liner. Okay. It's time to go back over here now. I have not resolved this composition, but I'm in a place where I feel like very much in need of adding detail. So I'm just going to juice up some of these pans, clean them up a little, and then spray the rest. Don't forget to respray your palette. All right. So important. I'm just getting a very rough mix, really not blending those colors together. You see how I'm attacking that well, because I don't want a clean mix, even for thin lines. I just don't. I don't want a clean mix. Okay, holding my brush far down, almost perpendicular. I'm going to go a little to the side just so you can see what I'm doing, and stroking out from kind of a single point in a few spots. Now, we don't want this to all look the same. Here, I really want to emphasize this turned petal. Now, it could turn one of two ways, and I'm going to actually turn it the way I didn't plan initially. Watch how I do that. Let the paint run out. Be okay with that. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I'm going to, you hear that? There's more brushes dropping off my darn. I'm going to put a little bit of red right here, and you're going to see. Then I'm going to go right next door with clean water and blend it out towards the point here. And that is going to make my little leaf turn much, much more obvious. A little brown. I know you're like, wait, brown. It's going to make the flower look dead. I don't think so. All right, but we'll see. Just making that little area a little more distinct. So we know that is changing direction. All right, there she is. She changed direction. Lovely. Come up from the point sometimes. Meet up. Press down on your brush harder sometimes. Look at that. And wiggle, wiggle. And then that kind of now looks like part of the petal is curved. So I'm going to force the curve by creating some line quality, linear detail there. And then I have another opportunity down here to really make it feel like this petal is twisty, turning, doing all the fun things. And then I'm going to blend it up. I'm going to use the number 2 cat's tongue, make sure she's clean. I'm going to blend it up. My brush is just damp, and I'm going to rinse it because I'm dragging too much color. And I'm going to rinse, and I'm going to rinse. I'm going to rinse now. Okay. See how that worked? A little bit more water here to blendy blend. And I'm just editing the shape a little bit. A little brown right here. All right, going back to the liner. And just this one, I'm going to go outside of the lines a little bit. Love doing that. It adds so much like, whoa, I didn't see that coming kind of effect, right? And a little bit over here. Again, you don't want each of these to be, you don't want to kind of approach the line quality, the linear detail, if you will, the same in each of these, in my opinion. Just not as interesting. All right, let's go ahead and do some linear detailing. Grab whatever color you love through some of this magic. So press, curve, lift. Press, curve, lift. Some of these are going to be really close together. Some are not. Now let's change up the color. I'm going straight fluorescent, dry brush, just a few touches. All right. Then I'm going to go with this pinky color. I'm going to go further apart, some close together, some at a slightly different angle. So interesting. And you can also come off of these with some kind of like creepy crawly veins that aren't going in that same direction. See that? Add some really interesting detail. And I'm going to back off from that. I might want to add more later, but I don't feel like I want to add more now. A little something at the end of these kumquats. A little brown. I'm just kind of feeling out the detail. I'm just adding touches of detail in places just to see if it helps guide some of my other decisions in other parts of the painting. Now I'm going to grab a swipe of this pink with my dirty brown brush, and I'm going to go ahead and give this flower a left facing, kind of left angled center. So right here are where all of these little scratchy lines are converging ever so subtly, but they are converging. They're at an angle that's kind of meeting right there. All right. And then from there, we're going to build out grabbing a little bit of this muted green. We're going to build out these little ruffly bits on this center. And they're all pointing back to this base camp here. All right. There she is. My brush is wet, but not like dripping. And I'm just going to drag from that center and grab some of the color from there and pull it down a little bit. Do I like that? I do. I'm okay with that. This is a little too straight. I'm just going to blend that out, but I like a little bit of that. Actually, I'm going to add a little more water in here so I can pull that out. So again, a wet brush, but not dripping. Then pull some of it. It'll be so subtle, this little trick. It's going to help you carry some detail into the petals, but it's subtle because you're dragging the color from another place. Now I'm going to use a little bit of pink up here to kind of create this similar effect here as well. Remember, give each petal its own personality. Approach that kind of linear detail in a different way on each. And I'm walking away from that, making sure I'm not overdoing it yet. I mean, we don't want to overdo it. I mean, sometimes we want to overdo it. A little bit of here, a little bit there. I'm going to go really fine and close together on this one. Let the paint run out. This is that pink up here. See how close you can get without bumping. But even if you bump, it's okay. It makes it look even more natural. A little bit of brown, a little bit of pink. What's been your aha moment so far today, friends? Have I dropped anything that has felt like new to you, that has felt like you haven't heard before, or maybe you're just really, quote unquote, hearing it for the first time? I'd love for you to head to comments and let me know. I'm going to add a little purple now to this mix. Dip in water, blot, come back with that purple. Notice my hold on this brush. Try this hold. It may not work for you. It may feel uncomfortable, but at least try it real far down. This is how I'm holding it. And then that gives me the ability to go almost perpendicular. All right, I'm going to get out of there. The reason I'm adding detail kind of just here right now is because I'm still very much wanting this to be my focal point. So I'm keeping it real over here. I'm following that goal. Little brown. And then we're going to do the same kind of thing over here, letting all of those little stipply, scratchy lines converge towards here. All right. You could put a little bit coming out. Just use that brush, a few little lines. See if you like that. Take it or leave it. All right. I had an idea, but I think I need... Oh, what brush do I want to do? I think I want to do it with the liner. I'm going to go brown, add water, and I'm going to pick up a lot of that watery brown, and I'm going to go press and lift, not as much, press and lift. How do I feel about that? I'm going to look before I do it everywhere. I don't need to do it everywhere, I don't think. Press and lift. Kind of dig it. Press and lift the whole length or part of the length, depending on your pressure. I dig that. Now I want to go over here. Press and lift, a little bit of a drag there. Press and lift, press and lift. Very haphazard, very spaced out. How's that feel? Yeah, dig it. Okay. So the other thing about composition is like mirroring brushstroke clusters, but in a slightly different way. Yeah. It can be super helpful. Let me take a look at questions. Nessa, I'm so sorry about the vision, losing vision in your right eye. Good heavens. Rediscover what is possible. Amen and hallelujah. Yay. Diana received my No Fear brush set about a week ago. So thrilled. Okay. Stephanie says, can you talk about drying time? How do you know when it's too dry? Too okay, if it's too dry to add something, you're gonna feel a coolness, a distinct difference in the coolness of the paper. Now, make sure your hand is clean. Mine isn't, but it's dry. So, and you can press and lift straight up. You don't want to like go like this on the surface, but you can press and lift straight up, or even less of a touch, like a light press and lift. If you feel that coolness, it's still got some dampness in it. If it feels cool and a little wet, then you know like it's truly damp. And then if you're actually lifting, you see some wetness on your finger, not just feel it, then you know it is wet still, right? Yeah. So, Jennifer, take a break, friend. Get some rest. The replay will be here for you. Hopefully that helped about this, that with the wetness question. Stephanie, if you need more clarification or I really just didn't hit it, let me know. Nicole says, what do you do when you feel like your painting feels like two different paintings? Do you try to connect it with something in the middle to merge? Absolutely. You can try to connect it. I mean, right now my painting feels in some ways like two different paintings. So eventually I'm going to be connecting it by doing some very kind of focused line work over here that's still very light. So find ways to not duplicate what's on one side, but to take part of what's on one side and add it to the other. The other thing that you could do, if you're really just fed up and bored, is slice the bad girl in half and make two different paintings. That could be really fun. What are your thoughts on mixing colored inks from a bottle and watercolor? Yeah, I mean, I I actually have done a lot of that, and I think it's really interesting because the inks typically, even watercolor inks, but even more so like India inks, are so intense and so they act quite differently in some ways from watercolor that you can really play on that difference compositionally. Like I think Nicole said it earlier, like start with a really soft watercolor, let it fully dry in areas, and then work the ink over top, letting it bleed really strongly in some areas that are still wet, and then letting it be very contrasty and solid in the areas that are dry. That could be a really interesting play. Great question. I'm going to do one more giveaway, friends. Quick, quick, quick. What company makes my favorite watercolor paper? What company makes my favorite watercolor paper? The one I talk about all the time. Not what it's called, but what's the company? Wow. Stephanie. Stephanie. Stephanie's right. Bao Hung. Bao Hung is the brand. Academy is the paper. Yeah. Stephanie, please go ahead and email us hello@christyrice.com. Subject should be attention Kristen. I won the choice of palettes, and send us your address. That's tough because if someone had said meat in first, I would have had to give it to them because same company. Oh no, I forgot. My bad. All right. Well, this has been a fun celebration, friends. I have filled the page. I have accomplished what I came to do. If you're curious, or let me ask this, would you like another live where I finish this, quote unquote, finish it? Would that be interesting? Are you like, man, I'm kind of done with it, Christy? I kind of would like to do that, but I'm just curious your thoughts. I am so in love. This is my favorite part. I think this is a great practice when you're finished with a painting session, not finished with the painting necessarily, but you can do this at any point. But pick out an area that you love. That's how I want you to end your painting sessions. I am in love with this right here. And why is it so powerful to do that? Number one, it's just a great foot, a great point, a great bookend, whatever you want to call it, to leave on, right? It's a great way to leap out of a painting session on that kind of foot. You're ending it positively. Number two, it gives you a perfectly beautiful exact springboard for your next painting. Do more of this. Do it bigger. Do it smaller. Do it on a different surface. Do it with a different medium, right? So good. All right. So friends, the painting you're working on now, I want you to find your favorite spot and I want you to schedule the time to go and springboard off from that favorite spot. All right, let's remember, let's give ourselves enough care and kindness to end our painting session on a positive note, not a negative, where you are just me. I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. Nicole says, scan it before you do anything else to it. Nicole, oh, you mean mine? I will scan it. That's a very good point. I do that often, but then I just as often forget to scan it. Yeah, and wish I had. So, yes. So let's do that. Let's give ourselves enough care and kindness to be able to say, I love this spot. Hey, I also love this spot right here. This little, this little, this little nook. Give yourself enough care and kindness to pick out the spot you love, to talk to yourself kindly, to end your painting session on a positive note that sends you to your next painting. Delightful and happy. Thank you, Nicole. Friends, thanks for being here with me today. And on that note, I want you to watch this video next. It's about being kind to yourself. All right. That was for replay, but it's about being kind to yourself. We need to be kind to ourselves.